All right. Hello, 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 and welcome to this week's episode of Training That Drives Your Business. I'm Susan Gaddy. I am your host of this live session, and we have such a topic in store and in treat for you today. And this is based off of so many conversations that I hear everywhere about content. Content, right? Content for social media, content for training, on demand content, live content. Should it be through my phone? Should it be micro content, like in person content? I mean, honestly, the conversation around all the different ways to utilize and create and build and design content is like crazy. And what I really want to touch on is that while we're spending all of our time, all of our money, all of our project budgets, right, creating content, here's the thing, it's actually not the most valuable tool in your toolkit when it comes to creating training programs that will actually get your clients results and will drive your business. So that is our topic today. If content isn't king, what is? How do we figure out what to do with that? And what does this mean for all of us who have been spending our lives designing content? That's our conversation today. If we have not met yet, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm Susan Gaddy. I'm going to share a little something new we've created for you. You ready for this? Give me a little thumbs up if you're loving our new intro to these sessions. That's what I love about doing things imperfectly, messy, however you want to call your action. But it is true that we have been running sessions like this for months and months now. We've changed the name a bunch of times. We've changed the graphics. We've changed the flow. We've changed so many things. So please don't go spending all of your hard-earned money until you know you have what works. So thank you, thank you, thank you again, and welcome. If we have not met, I am Susan Gaddy. I am the founder of a training formula that has just been registered for trademark, another exciting milestone in our own company's journey that we call the Disruptive Spark methodology. And it's our view around how we actually impact training to make sure that there's results. We serve both subject matter experts who have started their own coaching and consulting businesses, as well as companies. And honestly, this I think is the funnest thing across the boards. So we serve companies at the global level. We love startup companies that are fast and nimble and need to change. And one of our recent new audiences for us are really small business owners. So how do we help you to create training experiences that actually create that ROI, that valuable investment of your money, time, and resources? And so that brings us to today. If you're just joining us, welcome. Please say hello. Tell us who's here. I'd love to know what's going on in your business these days. And what do you think is actually the true value of training? Is it really content, or is it something else? So let's just jump right to it. I'm going to add something else to the stream here. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. This is interesting. So this cuts off the bottom. Future note for later. But the real value of training for me is when it solves the problem your participants can't solve on their own. I mean, give me a thumbs up if this makes sense. Like, you don't actually need training if it's not a problem that needs to be solved. If somebody's already in the process of fixing the problem, they don't need training. There's certainly different ways to use training, but ultimately, when it comes to creating a training program, the goal is to solve a problem that your participants can't solve on their own. And while this isn't necessarily new information, what I really wanted to share today was a little bit of a personal story about a time in my own life when I realized that I wasn't actually doing that. I wasn't doing it at all. And it was one of those moments that kind of hit you like a ton of bricks. So, if you know my history, I ran corporate universities for many, many years, and then started in, kind of by accident as an entrepreneur after being laid off as the head of, a very well-known large company. I was running their training department. I was laid off in 2008. And, I found myself out of work with a brand new baby and a whole life I had no idea what to do with. So You do what most people do, and you just start, feeling your way. And I started it by accident, an instructional design company. I knew a lot of people in the industry. I had a lot of people calling me, can you create this? Can you create that? Can you create that? Sure, 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 sure. Fit my lifestyle, was perfect. And that went on for like 10 years. And over that time, I created hundreds of training programs, literally hundreds of them. And about 5 years ago, when I decided to upgrade from sort of being an extra set of hands, which was how we build ourselves, into truly becoming a true strategic partner and being a little bit more aligned on the top of the house, where we're actually making decisions about what should training look like. I realized I didn't quite have all of the skills that I needed. And so I joined probably my first ever training program. Raise your hand, my fellow trainers out there. Right? It's like the shoemaker's child. You actually never go to training. You only go to the trainings that you actually create. So this was my first opportunity to really go out and hire an experienced person and join their training program. And what's funny about this story, and I'll make it super quick, is that what showed up for me was a video, a couple of workbook pages. We had a bi-weekly group meeting, and we had a Facebook group. And I have to tell you, I was a little skeptical, I guess is the most polite way to say it. I was very skeptical of this experience because this was not well designed training. No disrespect, but coming from the place that I come from, what I know about adult learning and designing, highly efficient content and highly functional content, it certainly didn't meet any of those marks. But here's the crazy thing. Are you ready for this? I want to show you something. It was a 6-month program, just to be clear about it. And remember, we got a video every other week. We had a couple of worksheets that gave us some activities to do. And then we met I think we met like once a month on a call, and we had a Facebook group. So if we needed anything in between, we had the Facebook group. And let me tell you what happened for me at the end of this program. So I grew my income by, I know this has both the dollars and the percent, but to be clear, 150%. Not only that, but my confidence was like really at an all-time high. I had never felt so powerful in all my life. And the third thing was that it was literally life-changing. So not only did I get what I wanted out of this business I was trying to build, but even more impactful was what I was able to take away and transfer into other areas of my life. And to this day, it is the thing that was one of the most monumentous learning experiences in my life. It was also the moment when everything that I knew to be true kind of crashed down around me, because the truth was the course wasn't that great. It wasn't that great. There was nothing special about it. There was nothing special about the workshops, but yet I had all of these results. And then when I sat back and I thought about the hundreds of training programs I've created in my career, I was almost like catatonic, because I couldn't point to a single result that looked like that. And my courses were exceptionally well designed, well crafted, fit the need, like checked all the boxes, but yet they didn't check any of these. So raise your hand if you're with me. That is a humbling experience, when everything that you pride yourself on, everything you believe to be true, everything that you know is true in the world, all of a sudden in one fell swoop isn't. And so the thing that I love to speak about in these moments, and this is of course after years of reflection and a tremendous amount of continued growth mindset work, is that in the ashes, in the rubble, right? When what you know to be true has crashed down around you, you always have two choices. So you can stay there, holding your pieces and crying. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that, but you can't stay there forever. Well, you can, but like that's not living. But in those pieces actually becomes your mission. And 5 years ago, I launched a mission, and it was, how do we make training the most valuable thing that you could create, the most valuable thing you could create bring into your company, the most valuable thing that literally would have the power to say it changed someone's life. And I put that as my North Star. And I set out over the course of the next 5 years to really study, how is this happening? Why wasn't it happening for me? How is it happening for others? What did I need to learn? Who did I need to talk to? What more information did I need? Like all the things. And from there, we were really able to get a very solid foundational theory that we now have turned into what we call the disruptive spark training formula. So, for anyone out there today, I wanted to make sure that I take a minute to show you the 4 things that we now know to be true, right? This is our new truth, which is always exciting to have a new truth that we now know to be true. And I'm going to just put myself down here in the corner so I can make this a little bit bigger. We've actually put this into a full page, what we're calling the Founder's Guide. So, for anyone in any capacity, if you are responsible for creating a training program, whether it's you as the coach or consultant for your business, whether it's you as the training department for your internal clients, right? Or whether it's you as the business owner yourself that are looking to truly affect great change in your people, in your organization, I encourage you to go ahead and scan the code right here. You can always just message me. I'm happy to send you this. But this is our Founder's Guide, which really walks you through the entire process. Today, what I really want to share with you is these first 4 phases. I hope this is big enough to see, but let me just walk through these with you really quickly. First things first. Again, what is the goal? The goal is to actually affect or create some kind of change, right? It's to solve a problem. So, in order to teach somebody something new, we must first disrupt their thinking and expand their awareness. This is where content is key. This is really where content is key. This is truly what social media, what your micro videos, what your live streams, live shows like this are, right? It's not about taking people to the end goal of a result. It is about waking them up, shaking them with love, and exposing them to something they didn't know, hadn't considered, didn't connect the dots on, right? It's creating that disruption in their thought process, in their belief system, in that pattern that they have every single day. You might think this is crazy. I'm going to share this as a side note. You might think this is crazy, but I literally drive a different way from my house every couple of months because I can't stand, actually, I'm like the poster child for disrupt yourself. I can't stand doing the same things the same way all the time. I constantly want to change my perspective. I constantly want to see new and different things. And when you take the same route to work every single day, or you drive the same way to your kid's school every single day, it might be efficient, right? Which is what the brain wants us to be, is absolutely efficient, which is why, creating routines and having consistency and building those neural mental pathways make life so much easier. But they also put us on autopilot, which means we are often blind to so many things around us. So here's a little tip for you. If you want to disrupt yourself, change up the way you normally drive somewhere, and you'll be surprised at how much more you notice about your environment. So that's what we're talking here when we talk about, this disrupt thinking, right? So once you've got somebody leaned all the way in, right? Now they're like, so what else do you know? What else can you tell me? What else is happening here? Then you can start to assign activities that require action. This is often a very, very big missing piece. And if you think back to my story with my coach in the program that I took, right, her videos were exactly that. They disrupted my thinking. They blew my mind sometimes. Sometimes they were so profound, I had to watch them 2 or 3 times, even though they weren't instructionally sound, right? I'm hoping that makes sense. But they were expanding me, they were opening my eyes, and then they were challenging me to create new neural pathways. Right. So now that you're open and you're receptive and you're willing to receive, how do we start to change the things that are going to ultimately make the new routines that support the outcome that you want? So, really positive. I love when I see companies. I'm working with a company right now, and they have what they call the go do assignment. So at the end of everything, every single participant is always given a go do assignment, right? It's about going out there now and creating that new neural pathway, trying out the strategies, creating, new situations for yourself, and really effectively making those first uncomfortable, awkward steps towards this new place that you desire to be. That's the second one, this action, right? And then here's the one, this phase three, I would tell you probably is this the phase when we do, if you've heard me talk at all, you might hear this from other talks. We actually provide a free 30-minute program review. And 9 times out of 10, the biggest takeaway we give people is they're missing this third phase, which is what we like to refer to as clarity, right? And here, phase three, we're talking about it going deeper and generating meaning. So here's the thing. And I want you to think about a baby, right? Think about a brand new baby learning to walk. So they spend all of their time in phase one watching us, those around them, walking, right? And then, we as the parent start sort of giving little tips, encouraging them, walking with them by their hands, right? Setting the stage. But ultimately, they have to walk on their own. And what happens if you've ever seen a baby who's walking for the first time? They don't get up and like walk beautifully, right? They stumble, they fall, they trip. And what do you do as the parent, right? What do? You are there to go deeper, provide clarity, give emotional support sometimes when they need emotional support, encouragement, model other correct behavior. We almost never are afforded the opportunity to meet with our people once they've been through training. One of the first things I ever tried to create was something called Break Free of the Workshop Hustle. It didn't go over. But the concept lives within this founder's guide, because what we were talking about in Break Free of the Workshop Hustle is most workshops are designed to do these pieces. And let me just bring this. They're really designed, we're using our workshop time for phase one, and we're leaving people with actions to do, but we're almost never in a position where we can come back together again and be able to do what needs to be done in phase three. One of the methodologies that we teach, and actually I'm super excited that this is actually something that shows up on national conferences. I'll be teaching it, as a matter of fact, very soon for the next Learning Solutions through the Fabulous Network it's the Learning Solutions Conference, and it's through the fabulous network called the Learning Guild. So if you're not a member of the Learning Guild, we'll drop you a link to there. That is absolutely a stellar resource for anyone thinking about and working with training. They are amazing. And I'm actually presenting to them our strategy for how you can use virtual social communities to accomplish that third phase, because the biggest barrier to that is actually time. And for the longest time it was impossible because the technology really didn't exist. Actually, that's not true. It's existed for a long time, but it wasn't actually very well received because people valued being in the office. Here we are post pandemic, best thing that ever happened to us from a work standpoint, right? We get the value of being together in a community versus being together face to face. So I'm going to leave a link to that as well. If you're interested in any of those materials, I'd be thrilled to share that with you also. But that's the third phase. That third phase is, how do you stay connected over time so that you can provide clarity, that you can celebrate wins, that you can remove obstacles. And sometimes you just need the encouragement of others. Which brings us to the third phase, and I'll make this nice and big so you can see again, because the problem with most training, truly, if you take one thing away from today, take this. The problem with most training is that someone will try it once. It most likely will not work. I mean, you could literally go on and on about the number of things that you've tried the first time that didn't work, and so you've never tried them again. So the power of the community is that place where you are safe enough to make mistakes, to ask questions, to come back again over and over and over because it's quick, it's easy, it's on your phone, it's in the moment that you need it. It fits into your schedule. I mean, there's so many powerful things, but it's breaking down those barriers. Sometimes in the disruptive spark, we refer to it as unkinking the hose, right? So when people leave your training and they're out there doing it, what are the most common things that block them from success? If you can put things in place to solve that, you will exponentially, like overnight, change the level of result, the level of client satisfaction, right? Which it drives everything, right? The more you get people results, the bigger your reputation grows, right? Which is good whether you are in a corporate position, right? Because when you can go into an executive board meeting and you can share ROI and results, you better believe you're going to be invited back, right? You better believe that you're going to be invited back. You go into that same boardroom and you say, we trained 75 people. Business people look at you like, so what? What's the so what, right? Breaking through the barriers, getting people the bigger results. That's the so what. That's the story. We don't have that story to tell because we never get that far. And it's not even our fault. Most of the times we're just completely tied, right? Our hands are tied. I can't tell you how many corporate training departments I work with where they don't have the resources, they don't have the team, they don't have the support. They're not built to do this, right? This is a completely new frontier in the world of learning and development. As a matter of fact, one of our huge goals is that we change the shape of learning and development into performance departments that aren't focused on creating training, but are truly focused on solving problems in the business and creating results. That's something that your board will invest in, guaranteed. That's a message that they will invest in. And the same is true for my friends that are, in the same role as I am, either in the coach or consultant community. What sells? Nothing sells better than another person, another human being who's had such an amazing experience and had such an amazing result that they're willing to tell other people about it. It's the sole reason I joined that first program. I mean, think about it. I always think about this too. I think this is a really fun story to think about. But when it comes to, I'm just going to take this off for a second. When it comes to, would you be willing to pay for training? Okay. So again, like I have both sides of the world all in this space, right? So on the coach and consultant side, that's literally the first question. What would somebody buy? Because you can't, you're not going to spend your own company's money, right? Creating a training program that's not saleable, right? When something isn't saleable, it means there's not a value for the other person. And so if they're not willing to make the investment, then your training might be the best training in the world, but if they're not willing to make the investment, you're not going to make any money. On the other side, so for the coach and the consultant, when you create such a valuable experience and you give your people, you go all in on helping them achieve the result that matters to them most, they become the thing that will catapult your business. It will catapult your program. It will make you become known in your space because people only whip out their credit cards and pay for proven concepts. Proven things that are proven, and nothing says proven than a testimonial. What's interesting on the other side is it's new. It's an expansion thing for us on the corporate world. We never think about, would someone pay for our training, even though that's exactly what's happening. But that's almost never a conversation. It's one of the first things we do when we go into a corporate organization. We're like, okay, let's start thinking about what this program design is going to look like. What do you think, Sally from the procurement department would actually pay for? What would I have to do? What would I have to build? What problems would I have to solve? Most needs assessments just start talking about missing gaps, missing skill gaps, which are important. But, that's secondary to, what do they need? What do they want? What would they show up for? What are they struggling with? How do I find that out? What does that look like? Right? That's almost unheard of in the corporate environment. I actually think people should be given a budget. They should be given their own training budgets and they should get to pick and choose how they spend it. How about that for a revolutionary idea? We'll save that topic for another day. But back to this, and to wrap this off, right? What is going to elevate your success rates? What is going to make you be the star of the boardroom, right? What's going to get invited back for a seat at the executive table? What's going to get more people showing up to your events, purchasing your programs, joining your programs, right? Singing your good praises all over social media where other people get to know you. This right here, this. When you start creating programs that disrupt thinking, that are filled with activities that force people, by the way, I'm going to be so strong, you have to force them into action. They are not going to take it on their own, because it's not the path of least resistance, and that's how we flow. So how do you get them into action? How do you then go deeper, add clarity, generate meaning? And then the fourth one is, how do you keep them engaged long enough that they actually make it to the finish line? That is really the crux of what makes training valuable. So I hope that you have stuck around to the end, because this is truly all you need to know in order to create the most successful training program you could possibly imagine. I am excited to hear any of your thoughts or questions. If this is anything that is speaking to you in any way, please go ahead and use this QR code, book a discovery call with us. You saw our theory around the design of result-based training. We work to develop your training teams internally, as well as we provide implementation and advisory services. I don't know if you have heard about our accelerator program, but that is also a very exciting program at a very nominal fee that really almost any individual could afford, and be able to create a training program that for their company. We have corporate people in that accelerator program. We also have individual coaches and consultants that are growing their business with training, which is so popular today, right? Everyone's creating their online training course. We can do better than that, people. We can do better than that. And if I would leave you with one final thought today, I always love to send people out the door with something, really inspirational and exciting, is that, remember, it's only crazy until it works, and then you're a genius. So this disruptive spark training formula, the way that we do business, has been a 5-year journey, and not an easy 5-year journey. That's a conversation for another day. So just remember, sometimes the only thing that kept me hanging on, that kept me moving forward, I always keep this on the side of my, my desk, is faith. Faith in me, faith in my ideas, faith in my future, right? Faith that everything I need will be presented to me when I am ready for it. At the end of the day, sometimes that faith, it's not even a religious faith. I mean, for me it is, but it doesn't have to be. But faith is just that belief, the belief that, what you know to be true at your core, right? At your center, all the way to your core, is actually possible. And even when the roadblocks happen, right? Even when the mistakes happen, even when you spend the money and it didn't work out, right? Even when, the thing you always have is your faith. So I hope that you found this extremely beneficial and helpful today. We have tons of resources from this session. We're going to post all of those things later so that you can access them. And I definitely would love to hear what was the most valuable takeaway from today. If you could synthesize it down into one simple thing, what was the most valuable thing you took away from today? And I wish you an amazing afternoon. We'll leave you with some music.